Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the WineDown, a weekly podcast and video where we talk about interesting technology subjects. Today, we're talking about what we call SaaS creep, or the creep of software as a service or cloud solutions and products in your business. Are they all worth it? Should you keep using it? Let's discuss it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the WineDown.
Welcome to the WineDown, an afternoon podcast where two techie blokes sit down over a bowl of wine and chat about what's happening in the world of tech. Enjoy while Scott and Nick open up about their week in technology.
Well, that was a very exciting intro to a very smooth piece of music. Hello, Scott. Good afternoon. How are you? And we'll unmute you. Let's try that.
Hello, we'll unmute. Oh, I haven't had that happen at all this year. Good afternoon, Nick. I was wondering what that little red thing was that was flashing. Look at
that. Cool. So let's start. Where are we? What are we drinking?
We are very safe and remote again. How about that?
We are.
So we're online in our virtual studio, which is actually not that bad, but it does have the lack of atmosphere around it. But that's okay. I am drinking. I've got this Lethbridge. This is a 2018 the Pinot. It's
okay.
It's just I think it's fairly recent release. Interesting for them. They actually have it's like a heavier Pinot. It's not like this sort of watered down cordial that you see sometimes. And oh look, there's a bit of color in it. No, they've actually got a pretty solid sort of offering. So it's quite nice too. Lethbridge wines being what are they, an hour, a bit less, sort of west of Melbourne, just a bit past, up, bit right of Geelong, but up a little bit, and just sort of down the road at an angle. So yeah, but not an hour and a bit to get there. Maybe depends how fast you drive.
Very nice. Well, I'm drinking a Pierre Chevin French Cabernet Sauvignon. You can see that it's Le Petit Étoile. It has something interesting about it, in that it has no alcohol. So
That's interesting.
I thought I was going to be good this week. I was going to have a week off any alcohol at all. So I'm doing a non-alcoholic wine, and just around the corner, they've opened up a shop called Sans Drinks, which is all about non-alcoholic alcohol replacements. And I've tried most of the reds, and they're pretty naff. But I thought I'd try this one, and this one's actually okay, it being a French wine and all. So
that's all right.
It's not disgusting. It's not disgusting.
I got sent some non-alcoholic beer, which I don't quite understand. It's like 0% alcohol and all the carbs. So it's
still sitting there. Let me guess.
It is still sitting there. Actually, I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I tell you, one of the things I don't understand, if you look recently at some of the shelves, are all the non-alcoholic spirits that are now available. Now, I do get the concept, but they're the same price.
Oh yeah, no, that's the interesting thing. So they're awesome, right? I've tried quite a lot of them, and I like them a lot, but they're the same price, and there's no duty on them. So I'm sure
there's no alcohol tax. No.
Yeah, if you were in the business of doing that, it's like a dream come true, right? Because you can charge the same amount as people are being taxed, and you're not being taxed. It's just more profit. But they are spending a lot of effort and time to try and get these things at least a little close in taste. And some of the Liars ones I've tried, and they're actually quite good.
So there you go.
Excellent. And I'm going to a wedding tomorrow, so I thought a week without drinking at all, culminating in a Friday of probably lots, is probably the right thing to do. So there we go. Responsible drinking of alcohol in the WineDown. Would you believe it?
Oh, I tell you, I did go to a wedding online. It went for 9 minutes. 9 minutes, and that was it. Best wedding ever. From an attendee point of view, you turn up for 9 minutes. You just put a shirt, the jacket on. All right, it's over. Hey, you can go to what you're doing.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I'm not actually going to the ceremony. I'm going to the party afterwards. So, but anyway, so look, I'm going to start by when Xero first started talking to accountants about the cloud. They used to stand on stage, and I remember a guy called Wayne Schmidt who looked after bookkeepers for Xero. Used to be their initial head of sales. So back in the early days, he'd get on stage and he'd reel off this list of 10 or 15 cloud applications you needed to run your business. And every 6 months when Wayne got on stage, he'd add another one to it. So you'd end up with 25 or 30 of these cloud platforms. Now, on the surface, they're all really cheap, right? They're $10 a month, $20 a month. But I don't know if you looked at your credit card bill, at least the business one recently, and those things start to add up. Even at home where we've got Netflix, Paramount, Prime, Stan, whatever.
Yes,
those all add up to probably be more than a cable TV subscription. So it's fascinating stuff. You've been experiencing some of that recently. Why don't you give us a view of what you found?
Look, we have we thought we'd because we're about this is 3 and a bit years in with TribeTech now, maybe a bit more, 3.5, and of course over that time we've been looking at new tools in the market, understanding how customers can benefit from them and where they're best used, where they're not, and we've tended to acquire a bit of baggage along the way. And we're looking at, that's great, we could use that here, and that's great, we can use that here. I need to find out after 6 months or so, you know what, it's not quite, I need to do something else to achieve that goal now. And have we actually picked up on all the little bits and pieces that we've subscribed to?
It's quite interesting and fascinating, really. Yeah,
and it is. And
which bits are you using? And I found the same in the businesses I've run. Is you go, I'll just get, it's easy. I'll get a subscription to that and a subscription to this.
It's very easy. And look, I know when I've done acquisitions before, over a number of years, and one of the first things you do when you acquire a business is you go through all the books and understand, look, what are the costs? And look, some of the previous companies said, what's this? I said, we had that at our previous location before we were here. It's like a network service, like $300 a month or something like that for an Ethernet service. What do you mean before you were here? You've been here for like 4 years. I said, yeah, that's about right. So you've been paying for this in your previous office for the last 4 years, but you haven't actually been using your previous office for the last 4 years. I said, that's not good, is it?
No. So we've coined a new term today, haven't we? We're calling it SaaS, which is software as a service creep. So not creepy, but the fact you start with one and then you get another and another and another before you, especially in the world of things like Office 365 and Xero, where they've got stores and you can add apps to your apps. And before you know where you are, you've got a massive portfolio of things you're trying to maintain.
There is. And in a lot of organizations, the person that does the subscription may not be the one paying the bill. It may go on to, when you know that at a finance level, this is a regular expense or something like that, people will just pay it automatically because that's that Microsoft thing, or that's that supplier thing. Yeah, I know about that. Slowly goes up over time and no one notices, went up a bit, so be it, just gets paid until the person who actually did it in the first place has either left or forgotten about it, only to, when the auditor comes along 3 years later, goes and looks at this thing and goes, what's this? I don't know. Their fingers start pointing left, right, anywhere but towards the people who are responsible.
That's kind of fascinating. But the thing is, this is not just an IT thing anymore, is it? The fact that anybody in the business, either with a personal credit card, because some people I know have gone and bought products they use for business personally, or people with a business card that they expense or one that comes straight out of the bank account will go and buy these tools. And it's not really, there's no single org department or group keeping a hold of that, right?
This is the shadow IT element where you've got people in other business units making IT decisions, hopefully, all the right intentions, but they're saying, I found this SaaS product that does exactly what I want, and I haven't got an IT solution for it. Therefore, I'm just going to go and put all my data up there online, only to realize that maybe that's data stored in a country somewhere else, which is you've now broken some compliance rules. Maybe there's no security around that data. Maybe when you look at that organization, you've just put all your critical business data up there, and there's like 3 people behind the company keeping the website up, and they've all gone on holidays to some beach somewhere, and something breaks and you can't get any support, and there's a whole bunch of elements to it. But the concept is that people, are finding tools online that they want to use and just using them without really thinking about them.
So I quite like the decision making that goes on about this. I hear this a lot, where somebody will go to me. I use a great example: Zoom and Teams, right? For example, right? When you're doing a video conference, Zoom and Teams are pretty much feature parity. They haven't always
Yes.
been, but they're pretty much feature parity. But in a commercial environment, Teams give you a bunch more rather than just doing video calls. Yet departments in businesses who have full access to Teams and Office 365 will go and invest in Zoom. And when you sit and ask them, they go, but Zoom's better. And all you have to do is say, well, how? And sit there quietly and sagely. And they won't really know.
No.
I think that's quite fascinating.
It's better. I can spell it easier. It's got easy to type. Or yes, I know it's
Which is the whole Microsoft Planner and Project versus Monday.com and Trello and you could go through a whole list of these where someone in the business, I had this back years ago. Someone in the business turns around and says, I use Smartsheets, and Smartsheets are a great product, but I have a whole bunch of tools that already do that are free. Why would I get it? Well, they were very adept at it, but for everybody else, it's a learning curve, and people don't take into account, learning curves. It might be fine. It might be $20 for them. It might be 20,000 for a site license. There's all sorts of things to think about, right?
And look, it's happened for two reasons. One is that, well, not everyone's on Microsoft. People use Google, for example, and G Suite, and those tools don't exist in there. So they're always buying all these little other add-on tools to go with it. And look, some of these tools are actually quite good. They've got proper development teams behind them.
Capital funding. By the way, we're not saying any piece of software is good or bad in this conversation. We're just going, have a look at how many you've got, right?
Oh, and that's just it. Especially from two parts. One, are you still using this software? Just at a basic level. Does anyone know what this is? Has someone logged in the last year and actually done something productive with this software? Or are you just paying for a subscription that auto-renews every 12 months? And thanks for that. The other part is Office 365. For those of you that have got subscriptions to that, there's a lot of extra stuff in that now. And stuff is a nice technical term, but when you start to look at, and we talked about this in one of the other podcasts, that the tools are between the planners and even the bookings and some of they're actually really good. They're not just like a little, it's free, so it's a couple of boxes and a drag and drops. No, they're actually really functional.
Oh, it's so funny. I was reading, I'm subscribed to all these IT business owner group things in Facebook where I see, people who run IT businesses all around the world talking to each other. And somebody put up a quote. This is about a bunch of Microsoft Office 365 resellers. What do you do for people setting appointments with you? And they come up with a myriad of different software as a service tools. And then some guy went, does anybody use bookings from Office 365? It's free. And most of them hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah, I know Microsoft hasn't done a great job of showing all the free stuff and really explaining what they do, because it's not promoted as a separate tool. It's promoted as the whole suite, and the whole productivity suite is promoted as a whole. But look, it's interesting. It's interesting. Hey, something else, when you can find even free software online that I've seen people use, and these are things like, this website has this, and until you get up to this stage, it's all free. And so, well, that's nice, but like, what data are you putting up there? I said, and again, it's some business critical data. It could be personal data. It could be, and you look behind the scenes, there could be a reason why this stuff's free.
Yeah, you're giving them the data. You're giving them a license to do stuff with it. Yeah.
Where is this website based? And you go, it's in Russia. Oh, that's lovely. What exactly?
Even worse, it could be in Canberra.
There you go. Do you now have to go and report a privacy incident? Yes. Well.
Yeah. So that brings us around to numbers of tools, right? If I think about a business,
yes.
I'm going to think really simply about a simple business. What do I need? I need something like Office 365.
You do.
I need an accounting product, and I need something that kind of does CRM-y type stuff.
You do, separate from whatever your core business is itself.
Then your core business app, then that should be about it, really. There'd be mixtures, but you should be looking in 4 broad categories.
There are, and maybe there's a couple of little things here and there that just sort of either join the dots or bring stuff together or do some automation that you're not perhaps able to do with whatever offerings you've got.
Wow. So 4 or 5, under 10 pieces of software for your business, right?
I think that would be very rare.
I certainly think it would be. I remember doing desktop deployment back in the day, and we'd go and see customers who had thousands of applications. But even
Yes.
medium-sized organizations, the number of bits of software you find out there is quite mind-blowing, really.
And your mention of like thousands of applications, that is not unrealistic. I remember quite a few years ago, we did desktop rollouts as well for one of the utility companies here. And the initial audit showed 970 applications in use.
Yep.
And they only had over 1,000 people. And I'm going, what is this? How do 1,000 odd people use 970 applications every day?
Yeah, the answer is they don't, right?
They don't.
But
No.
it's bloated and it's great. And so the risk is when you do a project like that, the ideal thing you want to do is reduce the number of applications, but there's always this kind of pressure on you to get the project done. And sometimes it feels cheaper just to roll out 970 applications and deal with that problem later.
That's right. I want to get rid of like these 400. Oh, you've got to convert the data and then show the people how to use it all of a sudden a 3-month project becomes a 3-year project. So yes, there is a bit of that, but yeah.
So you should have a think outside of that ban. Do I really need this? Is this really critical? Do I already have something that's doing it well enough that I don't need this other thing? And that brings us back to, it used to be in the old days, I go and license some software and I pay an amount of money to license it. I might pay an ongoing maintenance. I might not. I might upgrade it. I remember when Microsoft bought out the ability to pay ongoing maintenance, and everybody was up in arms. And now everybody's buying everything monthly. So subscriptions, good or bad? Good and bad. Bad and good. Which one?
Oh, look, I actually like them. And it's you've got to be careful of the term of the subscription, but I like the monthly subscriptions. It's very simple. All your support, all your updates are in there. Generally good software auto updates as well, so you don't have to worry about patching or doing separate things with it. And it's very easy. And when you stop using it, you turn it off.
Yep.
In theory. Although we've got to be careful here because sometimes you need to subscribe for a year, even though you're paying monthly.
Now that's interesting. I remember when I first started doing cloud, and there were kind of a couple of tenets around cloud, but one was if you don't use it, you shouldn't pay for it. That's number one. And number two, you should be able to turn it on really quickly, and you should be able to turn it off really quickly. So when we were building cloud software, like when we built the Hub One software, our goal was it's a monthly agreement. You can cancel at any time.
Yep.
Yeah. You pay a month in advance, you're liable for that month, and that's it. You can cancel and off you go. Now that's changing. Microsoft are kind of shifting the goalposts there a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, look, to be fair, it's not just them. A lot of organizations have now looked at this and said, look, I'd love to get a year's cash in ahead of the year rather than in 12 parts over the year. What can we do? And in some cases, they're saying, look, we're going to offer a discount. It could be 10%, 15%, 20%. I've seen as high as 30% if you pay for the year up front. And so that can be quite attractive. But in reality, what's happening at a marketing level is they're putting the price up of the monthly costs. And all of a sudden, your yearly cost is really what they're sort of after. And this is no specific vendor, but this is quite common on a lot of the websites because you think if you're getting a 30% discount for paying in advance, that's quite a big drop. It's not like the cost of funds over 12 months. It's something quite different. But that but is
then
what's
you have
happening.
To think about. I remember going to see. I went to see. I won't say who the customer was, but we were talking about the economic change from traditional IT to cloud, and we were talking about the move from being capex to opex. And they went, well, we don't want to spend OPEX. We've got lots of money to spend on CapEx. We don't want to do that. And that was fascinating. And I should have been smart at the time and said, okay, well, you pay me a year up front, we'll make it CapEx, and then I'll pay monthly to your vendor. And that would have worked quite well. But we didn't. But that brings me to an interesting thing, which is all about the terms and conditions. And it seems to me that, and I think it's always kind of been there, but I do know if you're the person responsible for purchasing large purchases for a company, you're going to read the terms and conditions. You're going to understand them. And if you're buying a car, most people will kind of read the fine print. I suppose some people won't, but most people, it's a big expense. If you're buying a house, you have a legal advisor to help you read the small print. If you're buying a $1.99 app on your iPhone, you don't care. But that's flown into business software now, hasn't it?
It has. And look, as a consumer, you've got all these general protections and rights that, when you're buying a house and a car and whatever else, as an individual, there's a whole bunch of defined rights that you sort of have and are pretty safe with. If you're buying things as a company, well, a lot of that doesn't exist. Look, some of it does now for very small organizations. They've started to change the laws in that respect. But for most organizations, it's a business deal. And if you go and say, oh, I want to sign up to this for 3 years at $100 a month, then after 1 month you go, I want to cancel. I said, well, too bad. You've entered a legal agreement. That's the end of story. So you've really got to be careful about that sort of thing. And there's nothing to say that you shouldn't commit for longer terms if you're getting sufficient discounts, but just understand you are committing the business to make that expenditure over that longer term. So make sure it's worth it.
I'll also say to people selling software, so MSPs who might be watching, one of the things to watch is when you go from payments that are over $20,000, like a server and some stuff, to ones under, then sometimes the consumer laws can start applying to your business-to-business contracts, and that introduces a whole new level of risk that consumer products build in and consumer companies think about, and traditionally business-to-business companies haven't had to think about it. Well, I think now you do. So that gets quite fascinating.
Well, there's another level of risk here for the managed service provider as well. With, for example, Microsoft, where we're able to buy all these licenses at a wholesale level. It's not overly that different to retail price, but we do get a small margin in there, mainly for the overhead of managing all the licenses, coordinating payments, a whole bunch of things there. Well, in there that we do. If a client says, yes, commit me to 12 months for that Microsoft product, the risk is actually with us now, because we are the ones with the agreement with Microsoft or the provider to provide that license. And therefore the client actually has an agreement with us to ensure that they pay every month for the 12 months. If they go broke or they run away, that's a problem.
Or they cancel and go consumer protection. You are the one carrying the can, because you're not going to get away with that with the vendor.
No, that's right. So there's a few quirky issues there that we have to be able to manage. And look, it's not the sort of thing that happens to everyone every day. I get it, but we do need, as business owners, to understand our risks.
So the follow-up of this is look how many apps you've got. Get rid of SaaS creep. Read the terms and conditions. And you can get discounts by signing up for a period. That's been fascinating, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. All of a sudden, I'm wanting to go look at my credit card statement again.
I think we all should do that. I'm going to do that right now. So thank you so much for watching or listening. If you do like what you see, please subscribe. Leave us a comment, letting us know what topics you want us to cover. We appear about weekly. We're having some changes in when we appear at the moment. We've got some marketing people involved, but I'm sure that will all settle down, and we'll let you know how you go. So Scott, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. It's been a pleasure as always.
And thank you for watching or listening. You have a great day.